Hi there, I'm Christine with What's Up Cupcake Whimsical Crafts, and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I have a cozy, crafty space where I talk about my crochet projects, my small business where I sell crochet plushies and tools for crocheters, including amigurumi sticks, stitch markers, safety eye installers, safety eyes, and more. And I do a lot of local markets in the Raleigh, North Carolina area, and it is the night before a major market for me. So tomorrow is Small Business Saturday, and I am participating in the Raleigh Book Fair put on by Front Page Media over at Raleigh Ironworks. So I'm expecting this to be a very well-attended market. The weather is going to be a bit chilly in Raleigh. The high is going to be 45, and we will be getting there fairly early to set up. So hoping to stay nice and cozy within my tent space. And I have a lot of fun crochet items that I'm going to be bringing to this market, both new pieces and returning favorites. I can't wait to share them with you. And if that sounds exciting, grab a project, grab a cozy beverage, blanket, curl up, and let's talk. So if you've been here before, I am going through the month of November, which is my birthday month, with a couple of goals in mind. The first of which is all of the sales that I have from my markets, my Etsy shop, and so on. I will be donating 10% of the sales from those events and activities to Backpack Buddies, which is a local charity in my area that provides food for kids that need assistance between school hours and the time that they're at home. So I'm very excited as that number has been growing steadily over the last month. In addition to that, my Etsy shop has been doing quite a big sale of 15% off of everything. And at the time that this video will go live, that sale will be done. But I have had some record sales, which also means that I'm going to have a great number that I get to donate to Backpack Buddies. And I'm very excited for that and all of the support everyone has given towards my shop and towards this organization. All of that being said, this is busy season. This is my second year doing fall markets in the most recent iteration of my business. I did What's Up Cupcake years and years ago doing baby items, loveys, burp cloths, things like that, felt ornaments. But with this crochet focus on my business, this being the second year I'm doing this, this has been just a hugely successful season for me in terms of figuring out what's been working for my business, what hasn't, as well as just kind of leaning into figuring out what my business looks like as it goes forward. I've been having so much fun this week, creating new items, replenishing some of my favorites, and just thinking about where I want to go with my business as I look to 2026. Also, this is going to be my first time participating in Vlogmas. So this is going to be the first episode of Vlogmas. Welcome. And I have some really fun stuff in store for the next 24 days. And we're kicking it off with this market prep kind of recap video. I have been recovering from a major-ish surgery that I had earlier in the week. Thankfully, the recovery from this is not what it used to be, but it definitely took me down. I had to have quite a few days of just solid rest, which meant that I could do a lot of crochet. So this is not the normal amount of stuff that I would typically be crocheting, as much as I wish it was. I definitely cranked out some really great items this week and had a lot of productive crochet time, but this is not a normal week for me. So I can't wait to share some of those details with you, but let's talk about a couple other things that have been going on too. My office situation, my layout where I'm doing all of my filming is changed up a bit. And with that, I had a little bit of a backlog of orders that I was packing for my Etsy shop. So I will be sharing some footage of the Etsy orders that I've been packing up. In addition, again, to going through some of the fun new items that I have been crocheting, tried a bunch of new patterns, and I think that you all will love them. It is the night before the market, and I still have to tag the items. I've already printed out the labels, but I do need to attach the tags. And of course, there's a lot of stuff that I still have high hopes I will be able to crank out before the end of the evening. My husband has to help me pack up the car for tomorrow. He will be helping me set up as I can't lift heavy things as part of my recovery from surgery. So he's going to be helping quite a bit tomorrow at the market. Normally, I do them on my own, and sometimes he just comes for the setup and the breakdown, or comes throughout in between, like being with our kids, because I have 2 young boys who do need adult supervision still. They may actually join for part of the market tomorrow. This market is really fun. It has authors for both kids' books, grown-up books, all kinds of activities focused on books. There's a lot of bookshops there, bookish merchandise. There's going to be a couple other crocheters there. I know Clever Fox Crochet will be there. She actually made one of the little tapestries that I don't have hanging up yet because I need my husband to screw a hook into the wall for me. But she's going to be there with more of her beautiful bookish tapestries. Fran from Wonderlust Bee is going to be there. I have not met her in person yet, I don't think, but she has been I've seen her products in shops around here and just know her name from other events and activities. So I'm excited to meet her for the first time and in person. And just overall, I'm really excited for this event. I did the previous Raleigh Book Fair event back in September, and it was a great event for me. It was really fun. The weather did not cooperate, and so we were all forced indoors, which kind of changed up the dynamic of the vendor setup and made it a little bit chaotic from the perspective that there was like no airflow in the building that we were in, and it worked out fine. But I think that this is on the opposite extreme. It's going to be freezing, but we will still be able to be outdoors, and I will be able to do my like regular full booth layout. And I'm really excited to do that, to showcase a lot of these new items that I'm going to be talking through. With that being said, let's take a look at some of the items that I made for this week. First off, it would not be a bookish market without some book characters. So I made 2 little cookie mice. These are from the pattern from Robin at Knotting Hook Crochet. And I remembered the tail this time. I didn't even see the tail listed in the description of the pattern. Sometimes I can be really bad at reading patterns all the way through. But I saw Robin, and I think a recent live talked about forgetting to do the tail, or maybe it was Heather from Cottontail Crafts. But they mentioned the tail, and after I had finished these, I was like, oh my gosh, wait, I need to put in the tail. So I did. They're so cute. These are made out of Elise Veludo. I had previously made them out of Premier Parfait, or I'd made one of them out of Premier Parfait, and realized I never wanted to do that again. Premier Parfait plush. It sheds a lot. There is some sewing. The skein of yarn that I had was kind of like sticky feeling, if you know, you know. So I said I would not do that again, and I would do Elise Veludo, and so making these was a breeze. So I have 2 of these, and I sell these for $20 a piece. When I do my bookish items, I put a picture of the book cover, or a book cover of like kind of the reference point. I originally had thought about bringing in copies of the books, but then I thought that could be really heavy, and in some cases I didn't want to bring a physical book in for whatever reason. So I just print out a photo of the cover of the book and hang it in one of my grid cubes. So I have quite a few books already where I have characters that I will be bringing back to this market, including Jamie from Outlander. I have Mr. Darcy from Pride and Prejudice. I sold Pennywise at one of my last markets, so he will not be there. I do need to print out a copy of the cover of The Knight and the Moth because I have a gargoyle, and I loved that book, and I really want someone to see that gargoyle and have like that same reaction that I had when I, connected the dots with it. So anyways, let's get into another make. This is a new one for me. I saw this pattern from the designer on Instagram and immediately knew I had to get it when it came out. And it is this adorable little nutcracker. This pattern is from Magic Filament, and she has this shown on her Instagram in both the traditional nutcracker colors, but also like a pastel version. I really wanted to make multiple, but this did turn out to be more time consuming than I thought it would be. So I'm going to try and make another one, maybe in another traditional color, maybe in the pastels. I don't know. I definitely want more before my next market, which is next weekend, but I just didn't have time, and I'll go through the list of other things that I want to make for this market. But this nutcracker, I think, came out super adorable. There's a bit of sewing. There's a lot of crocheting into like the back loop than the front loop, or it just took longer than I had originally anticipated this pattern to take. And I do think now that I've made it, I will be faster the second go around, but it was a bit more labor intensive than I realized it was going to be. That being said, I think it was well worth it. I think it will be a hit at the market, and hopefully I will have time to make another one so that it is not the lone nutcracker. I'm guessing because of the time that went into it, this will be a $20 item. The yarn for this is Premier Parfait plush, and yeah, like it was fine to work with, but it definitely, there's lots of color changes and so on. And she actually recommends with her pattern using Elise Voluto, and I believe she uses a size 4 or 4.5 hook in her pattern with Elise Voluto. I used a 5.5, and I was worried that if I did that, and even if I scaled down to a 5, it still would be bigger than what I think I could probably charge for it, given that it's a seasonal item. So I stuck with Premier Parfait because I knew I'd be able to at least get like the hook size to be more appropriate. So yeah, this came out so cute, and I cannot wait to have more of these. Hopefully another one before this market tomorrow. All right, next up, I made 3 little magical frogs. So this frog, the pattern is from Clover Crochet, and all of these patterns will be linked in the description below. If you go to my website, whatsupcupcakecrafts.com, you will see my favorite links, my favorite market supplies, my favorite shipping, small business supplies, things like that. You can click on the patterns list, and it should take you to a Canva page where I have listed out all of the patterns that I use and frequent. Sometimes that link can be down or finicky because Canva is being finicky, so don't give up on it. Try it again later. But if you do find that there's a missing pattern from it, just drop a note in the comments and I will try to update it as soon as possible, or at least reference the pattern. But this little magical frog I had made before during a market, and I brought it to my next market, and it sold before the market even started. So I wanted to make more of these. I felt like for a book fair event, a little magical frog would be a really cute idea. This is also Premier Parfait plush, and I used the glitter yarn for the cape and the hat. And then the star actually is some really fine unnamed yarn that I have that I use like a 3mm hook for. So I couldn't tell you what it's called. I get it on Etsy, and the label is in a different language that I cannot read. So unfortunately I cannot share what yarn it is, but you could use you could use a worsted yarn, whatever. I just use a finer yarn since it is like a little star, and then you kind of embroider these little star details on. So that is the magic frog. And I believe I sell these for $18. But yeah, I'm excited to have like its official debut with multiple of them at this market. Next up, holiday children's classic. It's the green guy, the Grinch. This is the Madeline Mayco pattern. I think it's just the cutest little Grinch. The Grinch is not one of my favorite characters. It kind of creeped me out when I was a kid. I don't know, something about the animation. I wasn't a fan. But this guy, I love. I 100% support this version of the Grinch. And the yarn is Nutty Pony. It is a dream to work with, and I would highly recommend this green and the yarn in general for your projects, but especially this little Grinch guy. It just makes it really nice to work up, and it's a fairly fast make. This is a $16 item for me, and I made 2 of them. I definitely tried to do more items in multiples for this because I'm trying to lean into having more of like a bulk make process, because I think it makes my booth look a little cleaner, because it's easier for me to display items than when I have like a random assortment of everything, which I love having so many different things, because it really is just like I couldn't decide. I love so many patterns, but I am trying to make it easier for people to actually shop my booth, and also not have it be such like a limited, when it's gone, it's gone. I do have a couple items in here that I only made 1 of, or that when I make them, they're going to be different every time because I'll do different color combinations, things like that. But in general, I am trying to make kind of multiple of things when possible, at least 2 of them, just so it's a more cohesive experience at my booth. All right, I then made 3 of the snowy owls. I put these on display with a cover of Harry Potter. So especially when I make these in white, they fly off the shelves, and people constantly see the white owl and they're like, Hedwig. So it doesn't matter that it may not be Hedwig, especially because I would not want any like copyright infringements, but people just tend to see a white snowy owl and think of it. So I made 3 of these. All of these eyes are different eyes from the hand painted ones that I do. I just go with varying shades of gold or like a coppery color when I make these, and they just do really well. I do them at $25 a piece, and I have 3 of them because I wiped out at my last market. I think I had 3 at my last market and I sold all of them. So this, I'll do a roundup during Vlogmas of my best-selling items, but this is definitely one of them, if not the best-selling item that I have. Next up, I have a couple little fuzzy capybaras. I should go back and say the owls I use Bernat blanket yarn for, and I just use varying shades of white or like speckled white when I am doing the owls, and it's one of the few things that I consistently do in Bernat blanket at this point, but my hands just don't like working with it as much, so I veer away from it most times, but the owls are the exception. This little capybara is from the pattern by Plushie Co. It is a no-sew pattern, and I use a Lee's Softy Plus. I made 2 of these, and it just has this little like fuzziness to it. It's so soft. And I sell these for $12 a piece. When I do them in like regular yarn, like Premier Parfait, I would sell them for 10, but with this fuzzy yarn, I sell it for 12, and again, usually they fly off the shelf. Next up, another character that could be tied to a bookish theme is Olivia the Octo. This pattern is by Dew Cotton, and the yarn is Naughty Pony, the orange. I made 2 of these, and I associate this little octo with the book Remarkably Bright Creatures, which if you've not read it, I highly recommend it. It is a lovely story. If you liked A Man Called Uva or books of a similar nature to that, it's a great story. So, little octo, the pattern is called Olivia the Octo, and they have a larger version of the octo that just is a bit more work, but this one comes together really quickly, and I sell this for $18. All right, I have a couple of single makes This one I was so excited to do. I mentioned in a previous video that I am not great at using my variegated yarns aside from ones that would naturally tend towards an owl or a cat or something like that. But I got the Premier Basics tie-dye, and I got it pretty much specifically for the purpose of unicorn hair. So I made this Snuggle Beans crochet Una the unicorn, splooting unicorn. And I love the tie-dye with this pattern. I think it is so cute. And the eyes for this one, I think might be my nightshade. I can't remember. It might just be eyes that I had thrown together with extra glitter that I had. I don't recall, but I love how this came out. The rest of the yarn is Elise Veludo. The tie-dye hair is Premier Basics, and then the horn is Premier Plush in the glitter. So comes out really great. I do the weighted pellets in the body and then a little bit of stuffing, but just the perfect little splooting unicorn. So sweet. And I charge $45 for this one. All of the Snuggle Beans crochet splooters at the moment, all of them that I've made, I charge $45 for. They're all varying degrees of complexity, but I do feel like they kind of all require the same amount of work at the end of the day in terms of the number of pieces and things like that. I will also have Fen the Fox and Dory the Deer on my table for this weekend. So this will join the splooters, as well as Huey the Highland Cow. Huey was another one I made recently for a market and sold before the market even started. The event organizer came up to me and said, I want that. So it never actually made the light of day beyond that. This is Elise Veludo yarn through and through. The eyes that I did for this are my Into the Woods eyes, and I think they're beautiful. And I love this little Highland cow. I love Highland cows in general, and this plushie is definitely one of my favorites, and I expect it to go tomorrow. Again, $45, Snuggle Beans crochet pattern. And if I could, I would make another one. I just won't have time. Ash, stop it. Yeah, you. My cat looks so appalled that I would call him out for eating this box. At least it's not an electrical cord. That is my other cat that loves to tempt fate. Okay, last but not least, this also ranks high up in my bestsellers. I had to replenish. I had to replenish Mabel chickens. I made 2 in white last time for my last market because I had a bunch in like orange and blue and all that stuff. And I realized I was out of the light colored ones and one of the white ones sold. So I was like, I should just get some more to be ready to go. So I sell these for $12 each. I use Bernat Blanket. I love the variegated versions of Bernat Blanket for chickens. So between just having a couple of solid white ones, I was like, let me just make some light colored chickens. So that rounds up all of the things that I have made thus far. It is still fairly early. You wouldn't be able to tell because the sky is being dramatic because of daylight savings time. But I would love, love, love to be able to make tonight. I have to tag all of this still. I would love to make a phoenix, and I use Naughty Pony yarn for that. I cannot recall who the pattern is from, but if I do end up making it, I will drop a photo later in this video. And I think the phoenix and maybe a couple of little penguins, just small ones, because I need to replenish those. I sold 1 or 2 at my last market, and it's one of the things that I just bring out for the holidays specifically. So I'd like to have a couple of those, and I'd like to make a griffin. The last time I did this book fair, someone specifically asked for a griffin, and I did not have it. I made one and brought it to one of my last markets and it sold there. I would like to have it for this. I feel like, again, the bookish crowd loves a griffin. I do have a good amount already of my small dragons. I would love a showstopper dragon. I just don't have time for it. I have been wanting to make the willow dragon forever, and I've had the pattern forever. I just have not had time to make it. Also, Forest Guardian, Moss Skipper. There's just not enough time. There never is. So I have a bunch to make. If I can get maybe just the phoenix and the griffin and some penguins tonight, that's a lot. We're going for it. I'm going to tag all of this stuff up and I will try to check back in. But in the meantime, let's take a look at the orders that I was packing to kind of get caught up on the surge of orders that I received in the last week. Because it's still early into Vlogmas at the time that I am filming this and also will be publishing this video, I would love to know if there's any particular topics you'd like me to cover as part of Vlogmas, because there's still time to impact the schedule. I am trying to film some things in advance just so that I'm not completely overwhelmed and setting myself up for failure, if we're being honest. But some of the things that I do have planned coming up include the new revamped office tour. I want to share some of the details around how I actually package my products and ship things out, because I get a lot of comments from people thinking that I do custom packaging and order custom printed packaging, and I don't. I solely just scour the internet for options that I think really kind of make my packages feel like it's a custom design, but it's not. It's all stock stuff that you can get from Amazon, packaging stores, things like that. But I think in a way that is still cost efficient depending on where you are with your business. So I would love to share some of my secrets behind that. I have some other fun, crafty things that I want to share as we get ready for the holidays, as well as trying new patterns, sharing details around my bestsellers, across the board, plushies, and other items. So I have a lot of fun things planned for Vlogmas. I'd love to know if there's anything that you would like to see. But regardless, if you want to join along, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can get notifications when I post new videos, as well as hit like if you enjoyed this content today. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will be checking back soon with a market recap. Bye.